guys. And I want to announce that one of the things that Mike does is the annual interdisciplinary conversation on ethics, and that will be Thursday, November 19th at 2:30 in the Hubbard Interfaith Sanctuary. Christina Pfister, Fred Gore, Jonah Horgan, and Sister Kitty Cannon will be talking about Catholic perspectives here at St. Rose and life of meaning. It'll be interfaith, interfaith. It'll be at the Hubbard Interfaith Sanctuary with some of our faculty colleagues, and Sister Kitty used to teach here and is a member of the Board of Trustees. So that's Thursday the 19th. Now, recognition by colleague. After 44 years, Bruce Johnston is retiring at the end of this year. And, unfortunately, he will not be with us in the spring semester at the award ceremony when we usually celebrate those who retire and the 25 years of service. And so, first Jean Waddell will speak in a rendition of her 1998 roasting of Bruce, which I heard brought down the house. And I'll say a few words as well. So first, Jean.
So, as a way of honoring Bruce, I wanted to tell a little bit of his story to the rest of you. And frankly, I do not know whether this is a true story, but it's the story I know, and I'm going to stick to it. So once upon a time, when Bruce was a doctoral candidate, so this was a long, long, long time ago when Bruce was a young man, he studied David Hume's account of miracles. Now, as Hume sees them, a miracle is an interruption of the natural order, a break in the natural course of things. And when I think back on Bruce's story, I find it fitting that he was a student of miracles because he is our own little miracle, isn't he? Here at the College of St. Rose, Bruce is a supernatural surprise. If you've ever had the pleasure of having a conversation with Bruce, you know what I mean. You know, one of those long, winding Bruce Johnston kinds of conversations. You get the sense that there's something unusual going on. For starters, you realize pretty quickly that he's brilliant. He has read just about everything, and he remembers everything he reads, and his mind is moving faster and further out than ordinary mortals can follow. Whether he's talking about poetry or Monsanto, you'll find yourself going, wow, really? I never thought of that. You're putting me on. You also learn from one of these conversations with Bruce that he is really, really out there. If you know what I mean, but in a good way. You'll find yourself thinking differently about whatever it is you're talking about. Your mind will be traveling down a new track you didn't know was there until Bruce showed you the way. What do we want from our philosophers? That's sort of what we want from our philosophers, I think. And Bruce is nothing if not a true philosopher in the Socratic sense. He's full of questions, he's full of wonder, and he's so in love with the pursuit of wisdom. If you didn't know any better, you would think he was stoned on philosophy. Because he is, like a kid in a candy store. Bruce is so delighted with the world, he just can't get enough of it. So if you're lucky enough to have one of these conversations with Bruce, you'll come away with a little bit of that joy too. He's infectious that way. And the last part of Bruce's story I want to share with you is that he's the son of a preacher man. I don't know if this is true. An evangelical preacher man. And I think true to form, Bruce has been preaching here at the college all along, all of these many years that he's walked among us. But he is not preaching the old-time gospel that you've called to mind. No way. He is preaching the gospel of Wendell Berry. He's been preaching the gospel of environmental conservation all these many years. Bruce so loves the beauty of the land. I know he's been trying to convert the legions of students who've passed through his hands to this gospel. He's been proselytizing. And if there is a chance that this earth will survive the coming climactic apocalypse, it will be because members of Bruce's tribe, the land lovers, will be caring tenderly for its fragile systems and spreading the good word about the joy to be had in breathing the power and beauty of this good earth. So as a salute to Bruce, I hope that we could join our voices. What a great gift it'll be for him if we join our voices together in this Cherokee blessing. Bruce's wife is Cherokee heritage, so everybody should have a copy of it. All together now. May the warm winds of heaven blow softly on your home, and may the Great Spirit bless all who enter there.
May your moccasins make happy tracks in many snows, and may the rainbow always touch your shoulder.
Thank you. Thank you.
Made him cry. That's not hard to do.
I was going to say, I debated about, do I want to go before Gene or after, because of what just happened right there. Now, I'm not Mike Brangan nor am I Gene Wiley, so I will slightly different, like a little bit like more genteel foxtrot kind of tribute. I am, for my part, see Bruce as our own Marianne McLaughlin. Someone who's been there and who has seen everything. Bruce started teaching in the fall at St. Rose in the fall of 1972. Now there are some people in here, Mark, I'm looking at you, who probably don't remember that time. At that point, though, I was 3, and my mom and dad had just made the long trip from Wakefield, Nebraska to Mount Vernon, Missouri. And Bruce has been teaching here ever since I was 3 years old. At the end of my first year here, Frank Fitzgerald had just been recognized for his 25th year of service in the college, and Mark Sullivan got up and said, "Do any of you all remember where you were in 1974?" And I whispered to President Sullivan at one point in the ceremony, "I was 5." And he went, "Shut up, you little shit." Through the end of the Vietnam War, the entire Iran hostage crisis, the Reagan years, the Clinton years, both sets of Bush years, the first Gulf War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, then the fall of the Soviet Union, the 9/11 attacks, and now the Obama administration. And I was trying to think of other ways, trying to think of all the ways in which we could celebrate Bruce's time. I thought about offices, the different places you've had offices over the years. I thought about the different cars Bruce has been driving over the years. Now he has a bright yellow Jeep with the Alberta plates on it, which apparently caused members of the St. Rose security staff to wonder, how do they register a car with a Canadian license plate? Always giving a challenge at the end. Before, Bruce had a van that was about half the size of this room. And at one point, I remember during my interview in 1988, driving through the towns of New Scotland and Bern, where I met Mary Alice Mulgard after a rainstorm, out somewhere on a road I haven't been on since.
It was a hurricane, and we were up to our water.
I had no idea where I was. I was completely lost. I was hoping that was a very interesting interview. And so I did cars, but instead I came down just the sheer years going past of all the different things that Bruce is senior, he's been teaching here this whole time. I myself have taught 30 different classes in 18 years here. My mind cannot comprehend what Bruce has taught in more than double that time here. Furthermore, as the college certainly faces crises now, Bruce's long institutional memory includes some of the previous difficult times here at the college. It also includes good things, and some of the careers, the entire careers of some well-known St. Rose faculty lives Bruce has seen arrive and then leave. People like Corrine Fall, Carl Swiderski, Maggie Kerwin, and Kay Kavanaugh. Bruce saw all of them